Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody joining us from all around the world. And hello from Jakarta. Welcome to Financial Inclusion Week session brought to you by Microsoft Consulting, Opportunity International Australia, and the Terala Foundation. My name is Feby. I'm the manager at Microsoft Consulting Southeast Asia, and I will be your moderator for today's session. So the latest data shows that in Indonesia, only less than 25% people with disability have a bank account, and their access to digital financial services is even lower. It's only 1.1%. So this lack of access is even greater for women with disability, especially those from low to middle income households or from rural areas or with limited access to education. So maybe this might seem bleak, but at the same time, actually, we are still seeing encouraging progress. So in 2024, the Indonesian Service Authority or OJK launched the Pedoman Setara or Setara guideline. So this is a guideline that helps financial service provider to strengthen their disability inclusive practices within their products and also their services. But is that is so actually much more still needs to be done actually to strengthen financial inclusion and also resilience for women with disabilities. So now gender lens investing or GLI comes into the picture. GLI has the potential to accelerate the innovation of inclusive financial products and services and also expand access and usage to meet the unique needs of women with disabilities. So joining me today to explore this further are our esteemed panelists. So we have Ibu Vivi Rashando, Gender Equality, Disability and Social Inclusion or JEPSI Manager at Opportunity International Australia, OIA, and the Executive Member of Australian Disability and Development Consortium. We also have Ibu Tien Mulyanti. So she is the founder of Terala Foundation. So Terala is a leading Indonesian organization for people with disability or OPD, and she is also the CEO of Terala Consulting. We also have here Ibu Putu Monica Christie, Senior Manager for JETSI at Microsoft Consulting or MSC. So before we begin the discussion, just a couple quick notes. So we have an AI live translations to provide real-time transcripts in the language of your choice. So you can activate it anytime by clicking the link provided by the committee. And also, we also invite you to join the live discussion. So please, if you have any questions to the panelists, post it to the question tab, and feel free also to use the chat tab to interact with other participants. So with that, let's dive deeper into our conversation. So I will begin with you, Ibu Tien. You as the founder of Indonesia's leading organizations for people with disability, or you have witnessed firsthand the experience of women with disability in Indonesia every day from your work. So, from your perspective, Ibu, what does financial resilience mean for women with disability? Is there any deeper systematic challenges are still holding people with disability back from financial resilience?
Okay, thank you, baby. Let me tell you about Intan, a 25 years old disability who lives in Subang, a small village in Indonesia. Intan has the same dreams, has the same desire to be able to stand on her own, like any of us. But being disability in her village is still seen as a taboo. Opportunities are closed to her. Bank don't see her. Employers don't consider her. It's like her future is the door that will never open. Story like Intan's really reminds us that the financial resilience is really critical for people with disabilities. It is the ability to meet their daily needs, to absorb shocks, and to be able to invest their future with dignity and independence. So it's not just about opening a bank account, but more to the real participation in the economy and equal opportunity for them to thrive. Yes, there are still many barriers, such as social barriers, many stigma and low expectations still limit the employments and the entrepreneurship for opportunities for people with disability. The digital barriers, many platforms are not accessible for visual, hearing, and cognitive disabilities. And also the institutional barriers, like most of financial products were not designed with inclusion in mind. And
Mm-hmm.
and also the policy still weak in ensuring accessibility and affordability for people with disability. So that's why we say access is not enough. We must move beyond simply providing entry points and instead for creating financial solution with women and people with disability so that in time and many others disability can be recognized as a driver of inclusive growth. Thank you.
Wow. So that's a very important keywords here from Ibu Tien. Access is not enough. But as we know, many initiatives in Indonesia still focus only on improving access. So over to you, Ibu Monica. From your perspective as JETC and development expert at MSC, so actually, what are key limitations to an accessibility approach and what can we do about it?
Yeah, so, thank you, Fabi. So I think to echo what Ibutin said, that I have to say that access doesn't always means usage and uptake. So just a stat that our financial inclusion survey shows that financial inclusion in Indonesia is at 80%, but literacy lags at 66%. So these gaps actually tells us that many people, they have like a bank account or they have access products, but they don't know how to use them effectively. And the literacy number actually even lower if we come into, into different intersections such as urban versus rural, female versus male, and different education level, and also different occupations.
Ibu
And
Monica,
hello.
can you hear us?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, please
Okay.
continue.
Yeah. So yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So it shows that providing only financial access is not enough. And without the right knowledge and support, people cannot maximize the benefits of savings, of credits, and also insurance. And in practice, it actually limits their ability to build financial resilience. And if we are talking about people with disability, the challenge is even sharper. Like Ibutin mentioned, that products may be accessible on paper, but if they're not designed with inclusive features like assistive technologies, they cannot be fully used. And without this ecosystem support, the people with disability, clients with disabilities, they struggle to plan, diversify income, and manage risk, which leads to financial resilience.
Mm-hmm. That is very, very insightful, Ibu Monica. So now I would like to turn to Ibu Fifi. So OIA has done a lot of incredible work across not only Indonesia but also Southeast Asia and beyond to improve the livelihoods of women with disability. Building on existing initiative, Ibu Fifi, what would it take actually to shift from simply opening access to creating real impact, which means financial resilience?
Yeah, thank you. We are still on a long journey toward a meaningful difference in the life of people with disability. Remember, access alone is not enough. It must lead to equity and resilience. So, what needs to change? First, we need stronger collaborations across multilateral, bilateral, OPDs, local government agencies like OJK, and the Ministry of Cooperatives to align financial inclusion efforts with accessibility goals. Second, we need to design product or services with accessibility lens, not for people with disability, but with them. Because inclusive design benefits everyone. For instance, televisions with subtitles is essential for people with disability, people with hearing impairments, but it's also incredibly useful for multitaskers like you and me. Third, connect finance to market opportunities. Resilience means rising income, growing assets, and the ability to recover from shocks. Fourth, safeguard digital finance with inclusive tools that protect all users. Fifth, build capacity, especially through partnership with OPDs. Finally, we need to track what truly matters. Disaggregated data, especially by gender and disability, is key to measuring real impact, not just access. Yet very few financial service providers collect it. One standout example is Komida in Indonesia, supported by Opportunity International. By collecting this data, they have identified over 15,000 women entrepreneurs with disability among their 900,000 clients, proving that feasibility drives change.
Okay, okay. So as you mentioned that there are actually still so many things to do, ya Ibu, and we need to think more deeply about financial resilience. So now let's turn to a powerful and also exciting approach that can help accelerate and scale these efforts. So namely gender lens investing or GLI. So according to UNIDO, GLI is the deliberate integration of gender analysis into investment analysis and decision making. So, in practice, this means that investing more in woman owned or woman led enterprises and also maybe supporting businesses that promote gender equality and also inclusivity in their products and services that can improve the lives of women and also girls. So, I would like to start with you, Ibu Fifi, continuing on your insights. So, from your perspective, why is it important to incorporate GLI to the effort of economic empowerment for women with disability?
Yeah, GLI helps direct capital to businesses that break down barriers faced by women and people with disability, such as limited access to credit, collaterals, and leadership opportunities. Women drive 30 trillion in global spending, and 1.3 billion people with disability are a massively underserved market. Research by Accenture, BCG, and McKinsey shows that diverse, inclusive companies outperform others with higher profits, more innovation, and stronger employee engagement. In a competitive and ideologically divided world right now, building inclusive economies is not just a moral imperative, it is a strategic necessity. We need investments that are inclusive, equitable, and designed to leave no one behind.
Okay, so you can hear me, right? Okay, so based on your explanation, so it's not a niche, so it's not just a few people have to care about it, but actually it's an absolute necessity. So, Ibu Tian, over to you from your perspective as a woman working with a woman with disability, and you're also people with disability yourself. So, how can gender lens investing boost financial resilience for women with disabilities?
Okay, so at our foundation, we see the gender lens investing as a powerful ways to accelerate the financial resilience. Why? Because it does two things. The first is it channels capital to women and people with disabilities. The second, it challenges the system that excludes them. First, GLI shift the mindset from charity into investment. It recognizes women and people with disability not as recipients of aid, but as entrepreneurs, as innovators who create both social and financial value. And second, GLI also help scale what already works from women-led cooperatives into disability-owned micro enterprises and inclusivity. So, with the right capital, this initiative can expand and reach more communities. And from our experience as an OPD, I know that when inclusion is linked to investment, it builds dignity, confidence, and sustainability, and not dependency. Dependency, like as just like charity. So for Terala, the goal is clear. GLI can transform small scattered initiative into a national movement where women and people with disabilities can can stand at can stand at the center of the Indonesia's economic resilience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you so much, Ibu Tian. So, Ibu Monica, we have heard from both Ibu Tian and also Ibu Fifi on how transformative GLI can be. So, from your perspective, of actually, what challenges are still looming in GLI implementation, especially in Indonesia? What is missing in the current practice, and what can we do about it?
Yeah. So in Indonesia, I think the progress is happening, but it's very slow. So Indonesia has taken a very important step, such as launching an orange bond. So orange bond or gender bond, which is the first in the country. And the amounts of orange bond is 69 million US dollar in 2025, and it has to multiply by 2030. And the bond itself is channeled by PNM Makar, which is a state-owned financial service providers, channeling microloans to women entrepreneurs with 17 millions clients. And unfortunately, our Ministry of Finance, they cannot release the bond because one of the requirement is to have at least 30% of women's leadership in their senior managements. And our ministry unfortunately cannot comply. So this shows that there's an institutional barriers for institutions in Indonesia to channel like gender lens investment. And what to do about it? So I think one of the critical element will be to equip the financial decision maker. This is very critical, such as the fund manager, the senior manager, financial service provider. They need to have a JETSI sensitizations, or at Microsoft we call it gender intelligent banking. And without it, the true purpose of gender lens investing cannot, that is to empower women and ensure accessibility cannot be achieved. Second is to we are lack of local case studies on why gender lens investing is bringing profit. We need like a case study that GLI is commercially viable, because at the end of the day, it's about return of investment, right? So all these investors, they need a local case studies why gender lens investing in Indonesia is profitable. And I think those elements are missing at the moment. So documenting the case studies on investment investing to women is very, very important.
Thank you, Ibu Monica. So gender sensitization is indeed very important to be implemented. So it's now time for our Q&A session. So I have several questions directly come to me. So thank you everyone who shared them. So I like to begin with the first question. So I think this is going to be addressed to OIA, to Ibu Fifi. I think so. The question is how to expand outreach of donors' gender lens investing efforts to empower women with disability in Indonesia.
Yeah, as mentioned by Ibu Monica before, inclusive investing (GLI) means putting JETSI at the heart of our strategy. That's how we build economies that work for everyone. Here's how to make it real. First, back inclusive businesses. Prioritize enterprises led by or employing people with disability. They are often overlooked to drive real change. Opportunity International proudly supports inclusive social enterprises that drive meaningful change in Indonesia. We partner with TLM foundations to help build six resilient villages facing low literacy and environmental challenges. Our funding aims to boost financial resilience for women and people with disability within 3 years, and this supported by a TLM brand enterprise that mainly employs people with visual impairments, showing inclusion into action. Gojek is often called the Uber of Indonesia. Gojek has helped advance disability inclusion in Indonesia by creating flexible job opportunities and shifting public perception. Gojek has joined the Valuable 500, a global initiative promoting disability inclusion in business leadership. As part of its commitment, Gojek has pledged to integrate disability inclusions into its DEI Council, improve accessibility across its application platform for all type of disabilities, make its office more accessible for employee with disability. Second, track how many people with disability are employed, tap into trusted networks, and partner locally. Partner with entrepreneurs with disability. This partnership bring experience into design of inclusive product services. The bottom line, inclusive investing (GLI) is not just good practice, it is smart, impactful, and long overdue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got several questions in the live discussion here. So this is a question from Bianda Kanani. I think this is more for maybe Ibu Monica. So how to engage more stakeholders to be aware of and invest in gender lens investing for people with disability empowerment in Indonesia, Ibu?
Yeah, so I think if we are using Indonesia as a case to really move gender lens investing forward, we need to start setting explicit target. In the, for example, putting the target in the National Development Plan and in the compliance mechanism for financial service providers to the regulators. So, because in Indonesia, the stakeholders they work in a very target-driven way. Because without a target, they won't create strategies. They we will not assign responsible bodies, or they are not going to develop concrete actions plans to make things happen. So putting the target, set the target. For example, like a target for financing women-led MSMEs, target to support businesses run by people with disabilities, and target to ensure that women and people with disabilities are equally represented in the leadership positions, whether in the company boards, decision-making positions, or in the parliament. Because for gender lens investing in Indonesia, we still need an affirmative actions to mainstream gender lens investing in the country.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ibu Monica. So we have more questions coming up. So there's a question from uh, Fishwaram Shrestha. So maybe this is addressed to OIA, yeah, to Ibu Fifi. Is GLI accepted by government and private sector for the wider and sustainable outcomes, Ibu?
Yeah, absolutely. GLI has increasingly accepted by both government, public, and private sector as a strategy to achieve sustainable development goals, especially SDG 5 and 10, and also SDG 1, of course. And the private sector has heavily invested in social impact investment. For instance, their gender lens investing standards, impact investor standards. However, in terms of accessibility, GLI needs to improve themselves in setting accessibility goals. In the area of government, development agencies, multilateral organizations, investing heavily and promoting SDG 5, especially GLI. The challenges is there is still no single industry-wide definitions of GLI, especially with accessibility lenses. We still need to promote, we still need to do a lot of advocacy among GLI players.
Mhm. Thank you. So I think we have a very limited time, but it's interesting. There is one more question actually from the audience. So, insightful discussion. We know that data account is available internally in each financial institutions. Do we need some policy like one in Spain with the gender law, where they allow banks and financial institutions to collect gender disaggregated data? Ibu Monica, your experience with GDP.
So yeah, I think there's a even though there's a comment from regulator, for example, to collect gender disaggregated data, but if the financial institutions are not like inform on how to like amplify the data and how to transform the data to a meaningful internal policy or external policy, they're just collecting it just to comply with the regulations. But the most important thing would be on what's next after GDD. So how can we use the data that we now have disaggregated data? How can we create a product that is like answering the needs, the specific needs? How can we improve the service, the financial service, the banking service to like to answer all this like they have probably different behaviors, like can be shown by the data. So I think to collect and also to create a case study on how to amplify the data that's been collected and transform it into a real product and services, I think that's one of the most important point for me.
Okay, thank you. So I think we have comments from Ibu Deborah Foy. So hello, Ibu. So thank you. Really encouraged to see 60 decibel collecting data on disability in this MFI index. It will help to shed lights on how inclusive the sector is, the extent to which inclusion is driving well-being for people with disability, and where the gap is. So thank you, Ibu, for your insight. Okay, so I think thank you, Ibu, for all your answers and your insights. So as we come to the end of the discussions, I would like to invite each of you to share a brief closing statement. So let's begin with you, Ibu Tin. Your closing statement, please.
Okay, so today my call is simple. Let's work together, government, investor, civil society. We can turn stories like Intan from exclusion into transformation. By using the gender lens investing, we can unlock the power of women and people with disability, and we can turn the lost opportunity into shared prosperity. Now is the time to act before it's too late. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ibu Tin. Now, Ibu Monica, may we hear your closing statements?
Yeah, so my closing statement will be gender lens investing begins with JETC sensitizations, and without awareness and understanding among decision makers, progress will stall, and gender lens investing can never realize its full potential.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu. And finally, Ibu Fifi, your closing statement, please.
I call on actors in the ecosystems to move beyond compliance and commitments into meaningful actions. Think of your aging parents, relatives, and friends. Design inclusive product or services. Direct capital to those most often left behind, especially marginalized women and people with disability, so that no one is excluded from opportunity and progress.
Okay, thank you all for their powerful closing statements. So I would like to reflect on the key messages from today's discussion. So we have seen that achieving financial resilience for women with disability is truly essential, and GLI and also gender sensitization are powerful tools to improve and scale the initiatives. So we need stronger collaboration between government, private sectors, investors, donors, OPDs, nonprofit, all relevant stakeholders to realize this vision, an inclusive financial system for all. So for the participants, if you wish to discuss this further, or if you still have unanswered questions, you may send an email to the panelists through the address listed on their swap card profiles. We also have links to our publications available on our session page. So thank you. Thank you to all the panelists, to all of you, the participants joining from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining and see you at the next event. Bye bye.
Thank you.